want to be married. That's what you really want to do. And the only way to do that is to aim for efficiency. Because if you're actually studying and trying to prepare yourself and be ready and work towards marriage, then that's the only way you're actually going to, that's the only way you can say that you're actually trying to do it. You know what I mean? So starting off with step number one is, like I'm saying, be ready. Readiness consists of a degree of self-love, of knowledge of your values, of knowledge of who you are as a person, and really loving that, really being into that trajectory of that lifestyle that you want, those interests, and specifically teaching and promulgating certain values into the future, into the next generations. It's a knowingness of who you are, and I think that both men and women can do this, can get to this understanding. The question is, however, is are you ready for someone? Because before you can even entertain someone, you want to be financially, spiritually ready. You also don't want things to be running in the background, like not engaging in self-intimacy, self-masturbation, which allows you to not be influenced by that or that desire to get off. Because if you are, then you can't think clearly, you can't think logically, you can't think from a scientific approach. But here's going to be 9 more concepts that focus on how to get someone in the most efficient, in the easiest way. So once you're ready and you know you're ready, then you have to kind of assess, and this is especially more for the man, right? Because the man's the one who's going to essentially be providing and creating a family and having children to take care of as well, people to and then, you know, there's a lot of talk of, well, a 2-parent working household or 2 working parents, but ideally you want it to be 1 working parent, because then guess who's raising the kids? The woman, and she's raising them with your values, the mother, and you know, homeschooling. And especially in this day and age, the complications we have. But I'd like to suggest that, so we have that, right? We have the readiness aspect. And then what else do we have? We have the, who makes the first move? So that's point number 2, is that women make the first move. They are going to be, they're going to be making the first move because they have to make the first move. They have to be the ones to show that they are the ones, you know, they are the ones who are interested, and because they're the more vulnerable, they're weaker, and they're generally, and they're more make poor decisions because they make emotional decisions. So they're not really ready for You know, they're not ready for, they're not as discerning as men are. And so they need to be put in a position where they can be making the first choice as to, yes, I'm interested in that guy. And the way they do it is by nonverbal cues like posing and kind of glancing and that will help the man to not have to be unsure if she likes him. It's kind of a clear interest. And then after that, what happens then? Well, then the man has to make his move, which is not what you might think. It's not, do you want to go on a date, or hey, how's it going, or hey, some type of a quote unquote pickup line, or that you seem interesting, or my name is this, nice to meet you. No, I'm recommending that a man know, and by the way, when you're ready for marriage, then you have more certainty. You're like, I know who I am, and I'm only going to be selective for this person. And so that means that let me switch lanes here, guys. When you're switching lanes, you always want to look backwards and then forwards again to see if traffic's slowing down. Common reason for accidents, right? So, yeah, the guy wants to do simply this. He wants to say, are you looking for a husband? Because it's not saying what he's not saying, like, or maybe he should say, I'm looking for a wife. But I think it's not as explicit. It's like, he's not, if he said, I'm looking for a wife, and then it's like, are you interested? It almost sounds like as if he's like proposing right there. But if you're looking for a husband, if you ask that, then it kind of switching lanes, boys. If you say, are you looking for a husband, then it's like more about her, and it's confirming, even if it's not you, that if she's just looking for a husband in general, and of course, if she doesn't, for some reason, doesn't like the guy, then she can say no, but she should make it pretty clear with a physical demonstration that she likes the guy, And at the same time, it also clears out any potential of is she with another guy. Like, instead of, like, some people might say, do you have a boyfriend? But boyfriend is such a weak terminology. I don't even like saying it, except for referential purposes. I'm not a boy, and I'm not a friend, and neither do I want to be to my future spouse, you know. Oh yeah, fuel. So see if we can't get in this left lane here. That I think would be beneficial. There. Right. So it makes it real clear. It's like, are you looking for a husband? And then it's like, does she feel like she's ready for marriage? Does she feel like and so it's a really and the guy, and you guys might think, well, it's going too far. Well, guess what? This is about efficiency, right? It's about looking for someone who is ready and actively looking for and vetting potential men to be a spouse, you know. So yeah, that's the deal. So that's the woman's side to do, right? But then what's continued into the process, if she says yes, you know, I am, and you know, we should talk more and talk about. And by the way, when you look at a person, you should already, you know, the guy looking at the one in, you know, it's just as much in part two, the woman showing off her body, as it's just as much that as it is the guy looking for a person who physically looks like not only compatible, but physically looks like a match. Now, what women make the mistake of doing is they think that if they have sex with a man, it'll capture his attention. But actually, that might happen. But what's just as possible to happen is for him to see her as being a promiscuous woman for doing that, and unattractive, like not a viable spouse material. Like, would you want someone who would do that to, you know, some guy, be it yourself or another person, right? So who's there? Okay, so considering that, right? So moving into the next step of it. Hey, I got my one lucky viewer. It's your lucky day. Like, I'm suggesting that I would rather know what I'm saying right now, rather than have, you know, $1 million or $1 billion. You know what I mean? Like, that's the level of value that and inspiration that I feel from these understandings. And part of them are inspired or taken from other people. But guess what? A lot of it's actually ideas I've come up with. These are ideas that I've figured out. And And so once you have the initial steps understood that you're both definitely interested and you're verbally confirming that with each other through a brief conversation, then the next question would be, where do you go? Do you try to go on a date? I would recommend not. What I would recommend doing is the guy say, well, since we've found some common interests, like after a brief conversation, then the next step is going to be the next, yeah, I gotta like. The next step is going to be to tell the person, okay, so, we have this interest, it's the guy telling the woman that she needs to, woo! So if the guy asks, okay, are you looking for a husband? And she says yes, then what he should say is, well, I'd like you to look me up online and to learn a little more about me. And then if you'd like, you can message me. That way, it's now the ball's in her court again. It started off with her showing off her body to show interest, to invite a greeting. Then again, it's the ball's put in her court to see what move she's going to make, because she is the more vulnerable ones, and she's the what. So there, therefore, for it to be not to make sure that it's not fake. Tech. Oh, Tech, bring me to ecstasy. Tech over there yanking it. So you want to make sure that she really is interested, and if she's afraid, she might say yes just because she's afraid, or like talk to you. So you want to make sure that it's in her court, and the way you do that is by just giving her the option to, hey, look me up. You can, if you'd like to, you can message me if you'd like. So you give her your information, not the other way around, because you don't want somebody who might not want to be with you. That's another big aspect of all of this, in terms of selection. Like, you want someone who really likes you, so in order to achieve that, it's a process, and I'm happy to talk about it, and to, it's fun. It's a fun, but it's being honest and it's being efficient. It's like, you don't want to be with someone, and this will be point number 5, is you want to be with somebody else because it is suggesting that they are, if you're just boyfriend and whatnot, then and you're with somebody else, then guess what? You don't love each other. It's not real, and that means you're delaying the process. It's less efficient of actually preparing for and selecting a real, legitimate, true love, committed spouse. So more to come on the subject, but for now you can rewatch it from the beginning. I made a lot of useful points here, and hoping that they'll be able to that you still have a chance to apply them in your life, to actually finding someone who you can be certain about, there's no like hesitation and there's no unknowns. So thank you, and let us talk more. Gonna say aloha. Thanks again, you guys. Take care. Yeah, come on, Tech, push.